Hello, it is the 11th of October 2025 and Dakota and I are going for a walk, and maybe you can join us. We're going a place that we've been several other times, but the trees are starting to change, I guess. It's kind of hard for me to tell. I'm red green colorblind, so it's like they could just be yellow and brown, and I kind of think they are just yellow and brown. It's been so dry this year, we're probably going to have a really crappy, there you are, a really crappy autumn as far as colors go. But we're on the old Louisville Loop road that has been abandoned forever, and then they cleared it off and then kind of stopped down there. It really needs to have big sections of it re-engineered if they're gonna try to open it up. Every spring it gets covered in muck. Oop, there she goes. What's she after? I just saw a dude on a mountain bike go riding through here, which is interesting. We rarely see anybody. Whoa, where'd she go? Oh, there she is. Yeah, she took off after something, but I guess it may have just been a ghost. She does like to chase ghosts. It is really gorgeous out today. Fall weather. It's 72 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 22 degrees Celsius. And do we want to walk down there? Oh, cool. Here comes a big barge coming down the river. This will catch up to us and pass us probably. I always wondered what these things were on top of the bridge over there. Zoom in. That one looks like an antenna, but then these look like they might have had billboards on them or some kind of signs, because the sides of this, either side was a car path, and apparently a truck fell through one side and they just closed it completely to automotive traffic. Really wish they would deck it and let pedestrians and bicyclists use it to cross the river, because there's no way to get over there down here, and it's a pain in the ass to do it by bus. The bus, you've got to get on it like way over like 19th Street or something just to get across the bridge. You can't get on it anywhere close to the end of the bridge over here. It's just stupid. I don't understand it. Or if you do get on that bus, it takes you all the way to 19th Street and then turns around and comes back. There's somebody's, I wonder if somebody's put a house in over there. That used to be part of a factory, but it kind of looks like it might be. Oh, I think that also, it might be a club of some kind. I can't read the sign on it. I don't have my reading glasses with me, so even if that is legible, I can't read it. A little shot of my finger in there for you. Yeah, I don't really think we're getting much change, though. Some of the trees have started to drop their leaves already. Especially the cottonwoods are already done, I think, for the most part. They've been dropping their limbs since August, or their leaves, I mean. And but it's a fancy barge. It's all colored and stuff. It's not a huge one though. They do get quite long. There's the pusher. I guess they call it a tow, even though they don't tow. Tractor, barge tractor, maybe. Who knows? My river literacy is less than it should be. Well, this thing keeps getting bigger and bigger. People have come back in here and made furniture just so they can hang out around a fire, which I can't blame them for. Hanging out around a fire is fun. Hey, Dakota, come here. Let's not go down there. I don't feel like smelling dead carp. I don't know if I updated about the dead carp thing, but apparently they are extremely, especially the big ones, susceptible to low oxygen when the water gets warm, and that's why there was a huge die-off of carp. It's those Asian carps, which I'm sure most people were happy to see them out there, even though they were incredibly stinky. There were so many of them. But apparently it was like that from up here all the way down to past Fort Knox. There's just dead carp everywhere. So I haven't tried them yet. I've heard that they're actually pretty good and not too bony. They're kind of a flaky white fish. So I should go. I know there's a place I know that I could go and just scoop them out. I just need somebody else in the canoe with me. Or I don't know. I got a friend of mine lent me a kayak. I think I could probably just go with the kayak and catch a couple of them. Just bring a string to put them on. But yeah, you could just, over there by the falls of the Ohio, you can just scoop them out of the water. They're just right there, and the water's only about 2 feet deep. And I'm sure that one of them would make for quite a few steaks and whatnot in the freezer. But I'd have to find out how they are. I figure if nothing else, I can do like the Cajuns do with gar, which is make gar balls, except they would be carp balls. You know, if it's not, what they do is grind up the gar meat, and then they mix it with onions and other things, probably the whole trinity. There's probably celery and bell pepper in there too, maybe parsley or whatever. I only glanced at the recipe, but you basically just form that into balls, bread it, fry it, and they're supposed to be delicious. So it seems like a good way to make carp. I found in my freezer a excuse me, a bag of crappie that my dad caught years ago. I mean, it was I think 10 years old, down in the bottom of the freezer. And I was like, I mean, this is probably freezer burned. It didn't smell too horribly freezer burned. Some of them seemed a little dried out in the thin spots. So I thawed them and filleted them all, soaked them for a couple of days in a brown sugar brine with some crab oil in it, and then I put them on the smoker and smoked them as slow as I could get the smoker to run, which I've got this little tiny smoker now, and it's kind of hard to keep the temperature low. Anyway, after that I put them in the refrigerator for a few days, and it ended up being right at a pound of meat. A little under. It was 14 ounces or something. And so I made, oh crap, what's the name of it? Something like Skinky Fiddle or something. It's a Scottish, basically smoked fish chowder. You're supposed to use a particular kind of smoked herring for it, but it seemed like this would probably work. So I made it, and it was fabulous. I had it last night, and it was, well, I mean, of course it's chowder. It was super rich. So I gave myself, like, I thought I was going to go back and get more, and I barely finished the bowl that I gave myself. Pretty simple recipe. After I took the smoked fish, and I'd already deboned it very carefully with some needle nose pliers, and so once I'd filleted, I pulled out those little bones that are around the gills, and so it's 4 cups of milk, and as that was coming to a simmer, I peeled off all the skin off of the fillets, and then just slid those into the barely bubbling milk, and let that cook for, I don't know, it was probably 10-15 minutes. It's long enough for the fish to start falling apart. And then scooped all the fish out and set aside the milk. Then you put a couple tablespoons of butter in, I probably put 3 in there because, hey, butter. And then saute a medium onion. I only had one huge one, so I kind of cut about a third of it off and used a third of it, or 2/3 of it. Oh, I've never noticed that. Crap. That's New Albany over there as the boat moves past. It's the amphitheater. An interesting triangular building downtown. Anyway, okay, so I sauteed the onions just until they're clear. Didn't want to, said not to brown them. I also added, this was not in the recipe, but I added a couple of pieces of finely chopped bacon, cooked bacon, into it. I mean, that was after. Okay, so after the onions are ready, then you put the milk back in and stir it constantly, pretty much, to keep it from scorching, and bring it back to a simmer. And I put a pound of potatoes diced, and then I put the bacon in, and you simmer that until you gotta simmer it lightly, and you got to stir pretty often to keep it from scorching on the bottom of the pan. Stirred that up, and once the potatoes were cooked but not overcooked, took a potato masher and kind of haphazardly smashed some of them up, leaving like chunks and bits and whatnot. Especially you want to leave you want to do like one side of the pan, and then stirred that up really good, and then I kind of pulled the fish apart into smallish chunks and added those back in, stirred it really good, salted it a little bit, added some pepper and some cayenne. Well, I think I also cooked a serrano pepper in it while with the fish. It ended up not really having much of a kick. I'm disappointed in myself for not adding enough cayenne, but that was it. That's it. I mean, it's a pretty simple recipe, and goodness gracious me, was it delicious. It's definitely one of my favorite ways to eat fish like that. I mean, I've still got a quart and a half. One quart's in the freezer, the other half is waiting for me to either have tonight or tomorrow. I'm sure after sitting in the refrigerator it'll be even better than it was last night. But that's my cooking adventures for this week. I also made a pizza at one point, and I don't even think I finished that. I think there's still 2 pieces of that in the refrigerator. Supper or lunch. I'm not sure. It's actually lunchtime right now. It's probably 12:30, if not 1. This cold weather, having pets pressed up against you, it's kind of hard to wake up, especially when there's absolutely no reason other than to take your doggie for a walk. And she's relatively patient. She started to get a little bit huffy before I started getting dressed. I was using the bathroom, and she kept walking in and looking at me like, "You're still there?" Like, man, I can't rush. I'll break something. So I think jabbered away enough at this point that I'm going to pause. Yeah, see, I think that's a cottonwood up there. See how it's got, most of the leaves are gone. And all these leaves pretty much are all cottonwood leaves that are down here on the ground. But this is just beautiful weather. I kind of wish that I'd put on a short sleeve shirt, as this is just right at the edge of being too much. But for the first 3 blocks it was fine. At least I'm not in the sun right now. It's really pretty back here in the woods. This is the golf course over there to the left, and the river to the right, and Dakota in the woods. She loves this back in here. She can just run around. And I have not seen anybody since that guy on the bicycle, and I don't know where he went. I guess he was going that way. You can get all the way to the other side of Iroquois Park if you're willing to pick your bike up at one point. But I don't know how many people actually do that. But if he were to go from here to the Sherman Mitten, then he could ride out to Northwestern Parkway and get anywhere in the West End. This is a great big curve in the river here. This is to the west of Louisville. If you've ever seen Louisville on a map, it's like there's a lump. And at the northern most point is where the Falls of the Ohio is. It's where the falls is. I guess, is that right? I don't know. The falls are there. They're not really there anymore. They've been dammed in, and there's one section they've left, which is very, very cool. I think if you look back, you can see a video of that. I think I'm probably going to... Am I going to talk about the Epstein files? Yeah, I probably will when I come back. I need to stop and tie my shoe, and I'll probably wait until I get to the other side of the bridge, which you can just barely see through the woods. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so here we are on the other side of the bridge, which is right over there. I maybe can just see it through the trees. I realized that I forgot to bring her leash with me, which is weird. I don't know how, but because it's just hanging right there by the door when I leave. But I did. So I was just thinking about it as I was right after I crossed under the bridge, and there's a piece of it looks like an old dog lead tied to a tree. So I untied it and made a loop in one end so I can put around her collar if I need it, and made a loop out of the other end so that I could hold it easily. Ta-da! Leash. It's in my pocket now with the poop bags. I tend to only bring 2 poop bags with me, but even though she will occasionally go multiple times, because I can almost always... She's just trying to drink that puddle dry, which I don't think is going to happen. Because I always find perfectly good bags that don't have holes in them just along the way, so I usually come back with more bags than I leave with. Sometimes I don't, which is why I always put at least 2 in my pocket. It is now day 11 of the Republicans' government shutdown. I would just like to say that in the event that there are any maggots watching this thing, negotiation is not just telling somebody that they have to do what you want to do, and then not talking to them, which is exactly what the Republicans are doing. That is not negotiation. So the government ain't working right now. If you know anybody that's got trouble with a Social Security check, they're screwed. The Republicans say, screw you old people that don't know how to use the internet. And screw you disabled people that really, really desperately have to have your SSI checked. If something's gone wrong, screw you. What else is... I guess the national parks are closed. Apparently Burbank Airport is closed most of the time now. That ought to hurt the Republicans pretty bad, because those rich fucks with their private jets, a lot of them fly in and out of Burbank on a regular basis. And there are other places that they're... I think that's what finally did them in last time. Oh, this is where I saw that hawk. Not seeing one now. There's Dakota. You gonna come join me? Yeah, so they put a culvert in here, but they haven't cleaned off this bit of the road. But you can still find it because people drive on. Oh, by the way, I've actually found the tire tracks from that mountain biker, and I think he did exactly like I said. He went to the Sherman Mitten and then went on up, because I have not seen anything that looks like any kind of vehicle track back in here as I walk over the cottonwood leaves. So that's the cottonwood. It still has most of its leaves on it, so does that one. Oh well. I guess they just dumped some of their leaves, not all of them. Anyway, where was I? Day 11. Yeah, they're just refusing to negotiate, and I really think that the healthcare issue is one that will play out, especially since, the facts are very simple, is that for the vast majority of people that have Medicaid and especially are on the ACA are going to see enormous jumps in their premiums for insurance, all to make the wealthy wealthier and the poorer poorer. It's going to be rural and small town hospitals closing just all across the country, and once they're closed, it's really hard to bring them back. So if you, I don't know, happen to be a farmer, say, living out, you're maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes away from your small town hospital, all of a sudden you're going to be 2 hours away from the nearest hospital. And that means you're also 2 hours away from the nearest ambulance, which means that ambulance has to get to you and go back to the hospital with you. So if you have a heart attack or a horrible injury, it's either going to take 4 hours, or you're going to have to pay $100,000 to get a helicopter to come take you from your house to the hospital. Neither of these sounds like a very good option, because a 4-hour ambulance ride is also going to be staggeringly expensive. I don't know what the sort of going rate is by the hour for an ambulance, but I'm sure that it's not cheap, because you've got at least 2 EMS guys and gals, people that are in the thing. So I don't know. This is it's dumb and it's mean, but then again, cruelty is the name of the GOP game. I think that the airports are what it's going to do them in the quickest, because there are enormous delays already, and like I said, some of the smaller airports are just closed completely because people don't want to work when they're not getting paid, and especially when the president is threatening not to pay them back pay later because he's a cunt. And I mean that in the worst way possible. My apologies to cunts. Yeah, this is not good. And I don't know, how did we end up in this timeline anyway? It seemed as though things were going pretty good. Oh, I know what it is. Obama made fun of Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and that thin-skinned little fucker just couldn't stand it. And somehow, despite his best efforts, he won. Over Hillary Clinton. James Comer sure did help a lot with that. Fuck that dude. I don't care if he is getting prosecuted. What's the word I'm looking for? Maliciously, I guess that would be the right word. Because he's the reason that we have President Trump in the first goddamn place. So maybe there's a little bit of justice in that. He won't be bankrupted, though. All of his rich buddies will bail him out. But, a lot of these federal workers are going to be fucked. And especially, his threats to lay off Democrat workers and in Democrat programs. What the fuck does that mean? So it's yet another, everybody's like, Am I in a Democrat program? Because I voted Democrat, am I now going to lose my job? And let's not to mention the endless, that's not to mention the just continuous Hatch Act violations that are going on, running videos accusing Democrats of the delays at the TSA. That's just bullshit. That should not be where. I mean, it's literally illegal to do that kind of partisan politics, and nobody's going to do a fucking thing about it because Mitch McConnell destroyed our judicial system. There is no rule of law anymore. Apparently, not only is one man above the law, but so are all of his lackeys. Because eventually the Supreme Court approves almost everything that man wants to do, despite precedent and despite law. But hey, this is the world we live in now, huh? I've kind of enjoyed watching the way world leaders have figured out how to play the orange dumbass. So, oh, you're so great. Look at how strong you are and all the great things you've done for us. Just blatant sucking up to that worthless clown. But, you know, when you got somebody as shallow and just dull as Donald Trump is, that's how you do it. Yeah, the worst thing about him is not only, I mean, the fact he's stupid is pretty awful, but he is sort of proudly, defiantly disinterested in learning. It's just like the last thing in the world he wants to do is actually know things. See, this is the worst part about this. How do I get up here? Last time I kind of crawled. I'm going to stop this and I'll come back and bitch some more about politics. Because what else is there to talk about these days? I made myself a little step back there. Managed to get up. It was a pretty tall step, but I managed it in one go. I had to pause it for a minute. There's an awful lot of this detritus all on the trail along through here. Yeah, I guess I don't know if the water made it all the way to the top of these fences or not. There's quite a few people out fishing. I keep hearing voices, and I realized there was somebody just kind of floating out there talking. So it's not just in my head. Actually, I may be done bitching about politics. It's not like I can do much except go to the protests and, write letters to Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell, which is, might as well just take paper and an envelope and a stamp and just throw it in the garbage. I always get the same standard response. You can tell it's just it's just a canned answer. Thank you for we're trying to, take care of the citizens of Kentucky. I'm like, Rand Paul might be. It's a pretty damn cold day in hell when I agree with both Rand Paul and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Lately, that's been a little bit difficult to handle. But I guess that somewhere in the GOP there are a few people that still have some degree of conscience. It's not much one, because they don't seem to care too much about taking away everyone's health care. But you've got to give tax breaks to the gazillionaires, because why would you want to go back to the horrible 50s and 60s, or even the early 70s? Oh, nightmare. Or even under Reagan. I mean, that was just Oh, it's just such a disaster. Actually, it was kind of. Ronald Reagan's, his legacy is long and horrible. I guess he was the start of the just open criminality that he somehow never got charged. Just see a Dakota butt way up there. Despite the Iran-Contra, and you know that 100% knew that shit was going on. Completely illegal. But the unitary president, you can't touch the president. And now there is one man above the law. No, sir, don't like it. Wish we could do like other countries and put the criminals in jail, especially these big ones. I mean, there's been several presidents go to jail recently. Didn't France give, was it Sarkozy? I think he got a prison sentence, and then was it South Korea? I think that their president was getting a jail sentence, and these people have done the same kind of things. Oh, and Bolsonaro got a pretty hefty one, which he deserved, but he did exactly the same thing that Trump did, which is why Trump is so upset about it. He could give a fuck about anybody but himself, but he knows Bolsonaro did exactly the same shit that he tried to pull, and was similarly unsuccessful. But in Brazil, they locked people up for that because they had a similarly small, rabid following for Bolsonaro that Trump has. I mean, he's only, according to what I've seen, it's like less than 20% of Americans are actually MAGA. There's sadly about 30 to 50% of Americans that just don't pay any attention, and just kind of like, if they do vote, it's just vibe based. And I mean, I've heard someone say it's like, and before this last election, I mean, somebody that just pays zero attention. It's just like, well, the economy's got to be better under him. I'm like, we've come so far from the place that he left us in after destroying Obama's economy. Not that Biden should have run again, but hey, hindsight's 20/20, and when you've got an ego that you've spent your entire life trying to get to be president, you finally get there. It's kind of hard to accept that you are not fit to be there anymore. And unfortunately, by the time he realized that, it was too late. We should have had an open primary. We probably would have come up with a better candidate than Harris, or Harris might have shown why she was the best candidate, which she did not do and did not have an opportunity to do. So here we are. And unlike Democrats, the Republicans hit the ground running and did all the worst shit that they could possibly do as quickly as they could. Last time that Democrats had full control of the Congress and of the White House, they didn't do shit. They sat around with their thumbs up their asses and argued with each other about the ACA and did nothing else. They could have, codified Roe. They could have raised the minimum wage. They could have done so much, and they did not. Which was just, I don't know, it's disappointing. It's why the Democrats are as hated, if not more hated, than the GOP. That's why the majority of Americans are now independents instead of part of a political party. All right, I'm tired of this. I'm about to get over to the LG&E smokestacks. I'll come back sometime on the walk home, or if I see something else interesting. We will return after this short break. Right, Dakota? Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll be right back. Well, my watch just told me that I hit my goal, which I think is 10,000 steps. I don't know what that is in distance. Oh, I should, well, before I come back next time, I'll check the, I've got like a thing on here that tracks me on GPS and gives me a map of where I've walked and how far I've walked, etc. It will answer the question of how far I've come. I'm going to say it's at least 3 miles at this point, if not 4. We're across from the LG&E towers that you can see over there. They haven't changed in the last week, I don't think. And Dakota's busy making sure there aren't any critters in the woods here that are not properly chased. And by chased, I do not mean not having sex. I mean chased after by a Dakota, which she thinks is very, very necessary. Oop, there she goes. She saw something. And it's been properly chased. I had something else to yammer about that was not politics. I wonder what it's a rock in the middle of the road. And I have forgotten what it was. Obviously, it was not very important. I could go on a long screed about renewables, which I don't know if you heard this, but last week renewables have surpassed globally fossil fuels for energy production, and it's only going to keep going. Of course, China is miles ahead of us, though. They have not taken very much of their coal offline. They've just been adding tons and tons and tons. But then again, they're also now predominantly driving electric vehicles, and they have a very ambitious plan to pretty much eliminate internal combustion engines, at least in passenger vehicles. And at this point, I'm starting to think most industrial equipment would be better off using electricity, especially if you've just got some solar panels actually built into the thing to, over the weekend you can trickle charge, and you can at least sort of augment the battery charge that you've got during the workday that way. And if they just make it so that you can just swap out a big battery pack instead of having to wait for the one in it to charge. Oh, that sounds like a great blue heron. They sound very dinosaurish, and they look pretty dinosaurish when you if you put them up next to some of the dinosaurs, pictures of dinosaurs, especially these new ones. I don't know if you've seen those. They've got feathers on them now. Very cool. I see now. I've completely lost my train of thought. It's one of the great things about walking and thinking is that your mind can just meander through things and then just abandon them. I'm hearing crashing noises over there. I wonder if there's some deer right over the ledge there. I'm surprised if there are that she hasn't found them yet. It's always fun to watch her tear out after those things, now that I've realized that she won't go very far. I used to worry that she'd get on one and just like end up in Evansville, which is, for those who don't know, is a long way away. Kind of think it's over 100 miles from here, but anyway, that's not going to happen. She about the furthest I think she's ever gone is a couple 300 yards. But it's funny, once she does that, she's so hyped up that she's just running in circles, and she always, when she comes back to me, she always runs back behind me 50 to 100 yards just to make sure that she's cleared out all the deer. And then she just runs circles around me for a while until she starts to get tired. I think we're going to go all the way this time, girl. A lot of times we go up there and just cut across the big field and into the neighborhood up there. But if we go to the end of this road, we come out at Broadway, and then I could just walk down Broadway to, like, I don't know, I'll probably go down to like 40th or something like that, and cut across. I don't know, I might go all the way down to 36th or 38th Street to cut across. I'll have to look at a map and see which one of them. They start to get a little janky up there. Once you get towards 34th Street, which is a connector that runs all the way through, but a lot of those streets will go, 7 or 8 blocks, and then all of a sudden they're interrupted, and you've got to go a whole block to one side or the other to get back to the street that you were on. I do not understand the urban designing that was in that. Oh wow, I got a good view out. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. Where was it? Yeah, you can kind of see it here. The surface of the water. I'm pretty sure that a lot of those little circles are fish. I guess it could just be waves, but it doesn't look as cool as it did just a second ago. It looked like there were, yeah, they're doing it again. Oops, lost it. It really looks like there's a school of fish out there that's topping the water. Okay, I'm gonna stop until my brain wanders back to something to talk about, or there's something cool to look at. This is, it's kind of hard to believe that there's a huge park right up there. I mean, it's just dead silent. This is a Saturday. There's usually music, and I haven't even heard any stupid Harleys go rumbling through here. So it's super, super quiet today, which is fine by me. But I do not understand. I've seen one other person, except for that parking lot back there by the LG&E towers at the boat ramp. Seen one other person. A guy on a bicycle went by, came off the trail, and then just headed back towards the city. So I think he probably looped in at the end of Market Street and was going to ride up to I'm not sure what the name of that is. There's Northwestern Parkway comes to an end, and then there's a street that runs directly west to Southwestern Parkway, and he was headed towards that exit. So who knows, he may have cut through the park in one direction or the other. It looked like he was having a good time on his mountain bike. It's a different guy on a mountain bike, a really nice bright yellow, like banana yellow one. Kind of dug that. I'm looking to upgrade my mountain bike. My frame's just too small for me, and I need something that I can sit more upright on. My neck does not like being crouched forward. Just for old time's sake, I still have my Raleigh Sport Touring Raleigh Olympian from the was it 1984? Yeah, that's the year of the Olympics. I bought it and had it all through college, and then toured Europe on it and rode it around New Orleans for another, well, I guess probably up until the probably mid 90s before I started driving most of the time, because my my girlfriend and I would, for that year of 94, 95, would usually hop the bus down there, and then I got the car working again and we would drive, and I got used to driving. They got us a deal on the parking for like $2 a day down there, so I just started driving a lot. And also my neighbor worked at Tower as well, and we would go in his little... Okay, now I hear something. Yeah, this is the area where there's usually some music going on, so some kind of party happening. A lot of days they have an old classic car kind of rally dinky going on up here. But yeah, anyway, I used to ride that bicycle down to Tower, usually down St. Charles Avenue, but sometimes I would do Claiborne. There was not really any convenient way to ride down, well, anywhere in that city. That was, boy, you talked about trial by fire. Learning how to urban bike in New Orleans was definitely an experience, because there's some shitty drivers down there, and the traffic is pretty horrible. We used to go down St. Charles to the French Quarter where Tower Records was, and then back on it every day. That's about 7 miles, and we'd just go out and ride sometimes just to enjoy it. But that's when I first started noticing the numbness in my fingers was riding that bicycle. And apparently that numbness is because of the 7th vertebra in my neck, where there's no disc in between those bones. And that goes straight out to the fingertips. So when I've got my head tipped back and it's, getting a little bit of, there's always a little bit of vibration going when you're leaning on some handlebars. So, after a while, fingers start to go numb, and then my hands, so I've got to sit up and crack my neck, and yeah, it's just awful. I hate it. I've heard it in Germany that they've got now an injectable foam, which I've been dreaming of since I discovered great stuff back in the 90s. It's like, why can't you just figure out some way to make a non-toxic version of this and just blow it in there? And apparently the Germans came up with it. So I'm hoping that in the next few years it will become available, and they'll be able to just stretch my neck out and shoot some of that in there, and I will be rid these, especially the numb hands thing. That's just, it's irritating, and I'm afraid that I'm going to end up with long-term nerve damage in the tips of my fingers. The middle finger on my right hand is already kind of just has a dull tip. But the other two, I've got 2 more with really just tiny discs left in them. C3 and C14. Oh, cool. There's a millipede. Wait, where are you? Do not touch. Stinky. Yep, just leave you alone. Go eat some other insects, buddy. Oh, there's Dakota's up there hunting. Yeah, the bottom one affects the muscles in between my shoulder blades, which is a kind of a really annoying thing. I figured out how to. What it'll do is that only one side will tense up, and it'll kind of pull my spine around. I figured out how to just pop it back into place by leaning on my knuckles. And then the top one, C3, I think. I don't know, or B3, or I can't remember how those are divided. So it's right up near the top. That one affects my sinuses. So I have continuous post-nasal drip, which is a joy every morning to recover from my nose slowly draining into the top of my lungs. It's as unpleasant as it sounds, and I've lost my dog. She probably went up over the top. She'll show up in a minute. But I'm not going to go too far. Get down here where the shade's nice and dense. I'm going to stop for a second and whistle for her. And I don't know, I'll be back when we get up off of this trail. Again, it's an absolutely gorgeous day out here. Glad you could come with me. Here we are next to Shawnee Park on Southeastern Parkway. This is like a maintenance building. that music is just somebody in a car, which, I don't know, I used to play music kind of crazy loud in my car, but I don't think I ever had it loud enough to where it would be this audible this far away, because I mean, to me that's just kind of painful, and it's hard to actually hear anything. I remember riding in a friend of mine's car a long time ago, and I can just remember how that music used to make me smile. And they were playing was it Motley Crue? I think Shout at the Devil or something like that. And I was sitting in the back seat, so I was like right in between his 6x9s that he had back there. And he just had that thing turned up to 10. And even with my fingers in my ears, it was just noise. So, not sure exactly what they were listening to, other than just like a jet engine roar of distortion. But a lot of really pretty trees along through here. This is a tulip poplar, pretty big one. And this one here is some kind of, I think it's a maple. I can't really see the leaves that well. Are you a maple? Yeah, no, you're sycamore. I guess I should have looked at the trunk. That would have helped. It's kind of a cool tree that's all bent over there. Dakota's back there in that little cusp of shrubberies. There she is. Nothing like trying to find a black dog in the dark. She's been lucky so far. She's better than some dogs about realizing that I can't see her in the dark, and she'll get up and move out of the way if she's laying on the floor. She does have a tendency lately to sleep on the couch by the front door, which is, I mean, it's pretty much all that couch is for anymore. Once in a blue moon, I go in and watch a movie, but 90% of the time I'll watch it just listening on my studio speakers. I've got a nice big monitor in my bedroom that goes with my new music computer that I got for cheap. It's a little kind of hot roddy Windows machine. Unfortunately, it's Windows 11, and there's all sorts of crap on that. It's just almost impossible to turn off. It's constantly, well, I've got it on airplane mode now, but it's constantly trying to phone home. It's like, and it, when you're doing music stuff, every once in a while, if there's anything else added to the CPU, it'll jitter, and that is super annoying and can cause you to have to go back and re-record a track. I haven't done a lot of tracking with it as far as large scale stuff goes. It's just been mostly, like a guitar track, and then a vocal track, and then a bass track, and I'm doing all the drums with machines right now because I don't have a drum kit at the moment. Kind of keeping an eye out for a really cheap one. Somebody, really all I need is a tom, a snare, a kick, a hi-hat, and either one or two cymbals. Probably some sort of large crash will do for a cymbal. I can use that as alternately as a ride. But I think that's all I would need. I want to get a tambourine to mount on the hi-hat stand. But I'm a pretty minimalist drummer. My fills are very few and far between. And usually one tom is enough to get the job done. A lot of really good drummers use those super stripped down kits. My old drummer in New Orleans, Jason, he used to he would show up. We never knew what he was going to have at a show. He would show up with like a 5-piece kit, for one show, which is 3 toms and a kick and a snare, and a bunch of cymbals. He always had a bunch of cymbals. But then the next one he would show up, he would have double bass and 8 toms and just cymbals all over the place. And he had an old bass drum that he cut just so it was I don't know, like maybe 7 or 8 inches deep. He just cut it off and then mounted it so that it would go on a cymbal stand, and he would have that mounted above the kit, which was a pretty damn cool sounding tom-tom, because it's basically as low as the kicks, so he would get like triplet things going between the double bass and the one up in the air. Pretty neat stuff. And then next gig he would show up with just literally a tom, a snare, a kick, and hi-hat, and maybe 2 cymbals. You just never knew. He's a good enough drummer that it worked all the time. Because really, when it comes down to it, it's the snare and the kick that are the heart of pretty much everything. Having something, high to keep rhythm with too is nice, but it's not totally necessary. You can get a lot of that out of the rim of a snare drum or the side. I don't know how I got off onto drums. I don't know. I'm in wandering mind mode as we wander along. Hey, look, pedestrians. So where are we gonna go? Let's go down this alley, and then we'll start cutting down towards one of the smaller numbered streets. Let me take a look on maps and find a route that I haven't done before, which I don't know if there is one at this point. I think I've walked every single street between the industrial area, which is behind me, and the river, which is in front of me, and to the left of me. But I'm gonna stop now and go take a look at that, and I'll come back in a little while. Maybe we'll hit on a street that we haven't been on. Here's what some backyards look like in this neighborhood. So I think I've said this a million times, but boy, this area has so much worse of a reputation than it deserves. Leave that cat alone. Sorry, kitty. Dakota, come on. All right. I wasn't gonna hurt it. I just want to chase it. Leave that cat alone. There's a little black kitten. Oh. This is a building. This is one of those. If I win the lottery, I'll see if I can't buy this thing. I don't think it's been used in a gazillion years. It is falling apart, but it is huge. Some kind. This part. This is like. It says it's some kind of church, but I think all of it's abandoned. Still one of the worst things when churches buy shit. They can just walk away from it because they don't pay taxes. So they've got no reason to really keep it, to do anything to it. There's a house back there. I should have stopped and added it into this video. There's a beautiful old house that somebody just mangled the first floor by building building a thing around it. It's been condemned by the city now. I don't know if that means that they're going to auction it or demolish it. I hope that it's the latter. I mean the former, because it is gorgeous behind that just ugly ass thing that they built around it. It's got one of those not Louis the 14th, Napoleon the Third. So already I'm going to stop this and I'll be back. Pretty cool old roof. Big old house. That's a bunch of house right there. This is River Park Drive, which is lovely. This old fence along through here. This is pretty cool. This is a little bit jarring. So this is like, you go back to this sort of Victorian-ish thing, probably an original building, and then you get all these that are like probably the 40s, 50s. very sort of standard, kind of a little bit on the arts and crafts side, especially that one. And then there's this thing, which looks like in late 50s or 60s it was just plopped down there, as well as that one over there. Anyway, this is, I always thought River Park Drive is really pretty. The street we're going to take to go across is called Amy Avenue. And that's just down here a bit. I don't think it replaces a numbered street. I think it's just an oddball named North-South Street. Come on. Dakota, what are you smelling? It's always so fascinating. And then, come on, let's go. Alright, I'm coming. I don't want to. I'm tired. Let's go home. We are going home. I guess that's Dakota's voice now. Maybe I'll come up with a better one for her. Does seem kind of appropriate for her. Slightly surly, but not really. Yeah, the house was probably much nicer at some point. Not looking great. Probably rental. That little brick thing just slapped down in here. But at least there aren't a shit ton of empty lots through here. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've seen one down through here. Yeah, this is a really nice street. Oh, that's a nice old house. It's another big bunch of house. As is that one. It's a weird barn roof thing going on. Now that reminds me of the repair I've got to do. It's sort of that little side decorative piece that I don't know if the back of that is still like barn roof, because it does kind of make sense, that design, because you end up with a whole floor that's just shingles, so you don't have to paint it, and because they're so steep, it takes quite a while for them to wear out, so they don't start to look worn as the. Oh, there's a nice old roof. Hey, come here. You didn't ask if you could go. She's just covered in seeds. All right, let's stop and I'll start back up at some point. Look at those oak trees. There. Boy, you talk about a shade bonanza for that yellow house there. I guess even for the garage behind it, but mostly for that house on the corner. You must no telling how much that shaves off of their air conditioning bill every summer, having that there. Is this a cypress? Somebody actually planted a cypress in their front yard? Boy, if they did, I can't really see it until I get up close on it. Is that a cypress? No, I don't think that. No, it's not. What is that thing? Yeah, cool. Yeah, I was going to say, anybody that planted a cypress is looking into the far distant future to be able to enjoy it, because they do not grow fast at all. Some more big trees. Hey, puppy. What'd you say, buddy? Oh, he's got a nice little bunch of tomato plants and stuff. I kind of feel like this dog, I've come by here and this gate has been opened, and she just runs to the edge of it and stops and then runs back, because they're not allowed to do that. What's up, little one? Yeah, I know, you're fierce. Nice catalpa tree with its beans on it. A friend of mine told me that they used to smoke those when he was a kid. It sounds to me like a guaranteed headache. But, you know, back in the day, people used to smoke banana peels, so there's no accounting for taste. Yeah, it's a baseball man, sportsman. All right, Dakota, I think we've made it to Amy. We have. I checked on the map, and sure enough, Amy is like sort of inserted in between 40th and 39th Streets. starting at River Park Drive and going over to Market Street, which is right there, those buildings. Yeah, we kind of zigzagged our way over here. Did walk down 41st Street for a while. This is poor tree. Oh, somebody needs to get up there and cut those limbs off before they start falling on houses and stuff. Just need a fish scale detail up there on that building. Oh, so these are really pretty old houses. Alrighty, I'm going to cut it until I get to this weird building over here. This is another one of those, if I win the lottery, maybe I'll buy this building, because it's got this kind of cool big lot that it's on. Kind of figured that this could be converted into gardens, and could probably put a really nice big house up on top of this flat roofed part with very little work. Make the whole bottom into a workshop, artist studio, place to play with cars, etc. Maybe even expand it out over this. One of my daydreams on this would be to actually sort of enclose this all the way out to the sidewalk. I think I would put a new sidewalk that's actually out there next to the street, and make it tall enough so that like a full-size box truck can pull into it, and have that be like the work area, and then put a green roof on top of it that would actually be the garden area and whatnot. It still has power and stuff hooked up to it, but I have never seen a single car or a person or anything. They do keep the grass mowed, and nothing. It says on the Louisville city map that it's owned by, it's something club. But yeah, I mean, if it's a club, I don't know when in the world they have it's open, because it doesn't look like that front. It doesn't look like any of the doors have been open in years. So who knows? One of those mystery buildings. It's so big, I don't understand how anyone could afford to just leave it sitting empty, but apparently they can. We are about up to Market Street, so I think I'm going to go ahead and end today's long walk. Thanks for coming with me. It was a beautiful day for a walk. I hope it's nice where you are, and hope that you have a great rest of your Saturday and weekend, and we will be back the next time that we're back. Right, Dakota? Sure. I don't care. Gonna go chase something.